What's happening, PumpTalk Nation? Get ready to have your mind blown because the news cycle is spinning faster than ever, and we've got the inside scoop you absolutely cannot miss. From personal journeys to historical deep dives and environmental battles, this is the update that's going to shape your week. We're diving headfirst into stories that are sparking conversations, challenging norms, and making waves across the globe. Are you ready for the unmissable news? Let's go. First up, we're tracking the incredible dedication of a community member who's proving that life's biggest challenges can be overcome with passion and perseverance. This story is all about finding balance and inspiring others, showing us how one person's commitment can create a ripple effect of positivity. Get ready to be motivated. Then, we're taking a trip back in time to uncover a fascinating and frankly, quite shocking tale of a boxer who became a symbol of a nation's complex past. This isn't just a sports story. It's a deep dive into history, identity, and the policies that shaped a country. You won't believe the twists and turns this narrative takes. Next, we're heading to the front lines of an ecological battle where a pristine natural wonder is under threat. Discover the cutting-edge efforts to protect a vital ecosystem from a relentless invader. This is a crucial update on conservation and the fight to preserve our planet's treasures. The stakes couldn't be higher. And finally, we're shining a spotlight on a community project that's hitting a snag, but the determination to overcome it is stronger than ever. Get the latest on what's holding things up and the innovative solutions being explored to keep progress moving forward. This is about resilience and the power of collective effort. Don't go anywhere because you need to stay plugged in. Make sure you smash that like button, subscribe if you haven't already, and hit that notification bell so you never miss a single update. Let's get into it. The circle of Run Club life. Life's routines, especially when raising a family, can often be disrupted by the ebb and flow of seasons and holidays. For many, the summer break, which often begins around Easter, presents a unique set of challenges that can throw training schedules and daily habits completely off course. This sentiment is particularly resonant for individuals who juggle the demands of parenthood with their personal pursuits, like running. The narrative often involves a delicate balancing act, where the desire to maintain fitness and mental well-being must contend with the unpredictable nature of family life, particularly during extended breaks. The article highlights a member of the RW Club whose running journey is deeply intertwined with her mental health, and crucially, with her aspiration to be a positive role model for her children. This personal connection underscores the broader theme that running is not just a physical activity, but a vital tool for managing stress, fostering resilience, and setting a healthy example. The mention of no ballot needed suggests a sense of accessibility and perhaps a unique opportunity within the club, distinguishing it from events that require a lottery system for participation. Furthermore, the reference to UK Active and an illustration by Pietari Posti points towards a broader context of promoting physical activity and an engaging visual style that complements the narrative. The core of this story appears to be about the multifaceted role running plays in an individual's life, extending beyond personal achievement to encompass family, mental health, and community inspiration, especially during periods that typically disrupt established routines. Stay with us as we uncover the inspiring journey of this dedicated runner. Next, we delve into a compelling historical account that reveals surprising truths about a nation's past. Squaring the circle. In the autumn of 1948, a striking scene unfolded at Sydney's Circular Quay as Clarence Reeves, an American boxer known as the Alabama Kid, was escorted by authorities to board the Marine Phoenix, bound for San Francisco. After a decade in Australia, where he had become a popular figure and felt a sense of belonging, Reeves was being unceremoniously deported. Dressed impeccably in a three-piece suit, he maintained a composed demeanor, smiling and waving to the approximately 2,000 onlookers and journalists gathered to witness his departure. His Australian wife, Jacqueline, and their two young children were present, having overcome the initial crowd chaos to share a brief, 15-minute farewell. The family harbored optimism for a future reunion, with Reeves expressing his intention to arrange for them to join him in America. The Marine Phoenix, on its final voyage from Sydney, was fully booked with 550 passengers, and Reeves had secured a one-way fare of £70 tens 10D, equivalent to nearly $5,300 today. His deportation occurred that same afternoon. Reeves' troubles began 2 weeks prior in Moss Vale, New South Wales, following a boxing match against Doug Brown. Despite drawing a large crowd of 800 spectators for the Friday night fight, which he lost on points after 12 rounds, Reeves was met by immigration officers in his dressing room. Informed he was a prohibited immigrant, he was immediately transported to Sydney, handcuffed to a police officer, and treated as a criminal in public view. He voiced his dismay to reporters, feeling the authorities were being harsh and that his arrest and transport in handcuffs were excessive, especially since he had not been in hiding. Although issued an exit order 4 months earlier, Reeves had continued to fight, hoping his popularity and good conduct would allow him to remain. He expressed disappointment that authorities hadn't informed him of his refused appeals earlier, particularly when he was performing at the Royal Show in Sydney. His wife, Jacqueline, was shocked by his arrest, highlighting their precarious situation as a family without a breadwinner in a foreign city and emphasizing her husband's exemplary conduct. The federal government, under the Chifley Labor administration, was resolute in upholding the White Australia policy, with Immigration Minister Arthur Calwell adamantly refusing exceptions. This policy, codified in the Immigration Restriction Act 1901, aimed to maintain a predominantly white European population in Australia. Its roots lay in historical narratives and legal frameworks, such as the concept of terra nullius and the portrayal of early colonists, which contributed to a national identity built on myths of whiteness. The act was the first federal law to enact racial restrictions, following earlier state-based discriminatory laws like Victoria's Aboriginal Protection Act 1869. By the turn of the century, anxieties about non-white migration, particularly from Asia, fueled concerns about economic security, leading to measures like the Chinese Immigration Act 1855 and subsequent race riots. The 1901 Act, described by Attorney General Alfred Deakin as a means to prohibit alien-colored immigration and reduce the number of aliens, was deliberately framed to appear non-discriminatory, as historian Gwenda Tavan notes. A key tool for enforcement was the dictation test, which could be administered in any European language, effectively barring non-Europeans without explicitly stating racial intent. This mechanism severely restricted non-European migration until World War II. Clarence Reeves, born in Georgia in 1914 during the Jim Crow era, began his boxing career at 16 after being discovered by promoter Les Hoffman. By 1938, he had an impressive record, defeating notable boxers. While records from his Australian fights suggest a successful career, archival footage is scarce. Nick Place, a boxing writer, noted Reeves' extensive fight history, possibly exceeding 300 bouts, including unofficial matches. The competitive American boxing scene likely spurred Reeves' move to Australia in 1938, seeking better opportunities. He arrived at 24, intending to stay for only 3 fights, but found the country and its people welcoming, deciding to remain. He reportedly lost only 10 of his 150 contests before deciding to return home in 1941. However, his ship struck a mine off the New Zealand coast, leading to his survival and subsequent return to Australia, where he found he could not gain permanent residency due to the White Australia policy. Despite his popularity, Reeves faced racism, including racial slurs in the media and potentially in the ring. He married Jacqueline in Melbourne in 1945, but that same year, he received notice of his impending deportation. He briefly left boxing to work in a shoe factory in Collingwood. Immigration Minister Arthur Calwell's administrative changes targeted wartime arrivals, including Reeves, who had been granted temporary refuge. Calwell maintained that personal relationships and children born during this period did not alter the initial terms of temporary access. Calwell's policies also extended to preventing servicemen from bringing their Japanese wives to Australia, expressing fears of racial pollution. The Sydney Daily Mirror reported Reeves' deportation as a result of tightened permit laws for overseas fighters. Jacqueline's plea for an extension, citing her pregnancy and inability to travel, resulted in a brief extension, but Caldwell remained firm on his deportation order. Public opposition grew, with protests and editorials criticizing the government's stance as racist and illogical, questioning the separation of families and the denial of exceptions for law-abiding citizens based on race. The NSW Boxing and Wrestling Association condemned the treatment as ruthless and improper. Taven highlights public opposition to post-war deportations, emphasizing the trauma of family separation. Despite widespread support, the government's resolve did not waver. Reeves, who identified as Australian, was deported. He expressed a desire for a future with his family and concern for his wife's well-being if she moved to America. Jacqueline indicated she might have to divorce him if he couldn't stay, as she did not want to move to America. The government's offer to pay for her and their 2 children to join him was met with her intention to leave soon. On the eve of his deportation, Jacqueline visited him, and his manager's bond offer was rejected. Their children, Roy Allen, Kay Margaret, and Nola, were eventually placed in state care. Jacqueline lived in Carlton North, receiving no financial support from Reeves and facing difficulties with child maintenance payments. She had not heard from him and he had not sought permission to re-enter Australia. Hope for Reeves' return persisted, with a new immigration minister, Harold Holt, reviewing wartime migrant cases. Reeves' promoter applied for his re-entry, confident of widespread petition support. The factory owner where Reeves worked offered him employment. However, a group representing white native-born Australians objected, citing concerns about adherence to immigration laws. Holt reviewed Reeves' case alongside that of Lorenzo Gamboa, a Filipino boxer who faced similar challenges. Gamboa, after Holt reversed Caldwell's decisions, was able to settle permanently in Australia with his family in 1952. Clarence Reeves, however, was not as fortunate. His fate after leaving Australia remains largely undocumented, with only brief mentions of fights in the U.S. and later running a pool hall. He died in 1970. His daughter, Kay Margaret, died in 1989. Reeves' story is a tragic example of a black man deported from the country he considered home due to racism after leaving his own country for similar reasons. A relative, Manny Sickmaid Reeves, expressed a desire to learn more about his great-uncle. The Australian Sports Museum holds an identification card belonging to Reeves, donated by his promoter Harry Johns. The museum's displays predominantly feature white sporting figures, raising questions about the acknowledgement of non-white heroes like Reeves. The legacy of the White Australia policy, including the erasure of non-white people from social and political life and ongoing racism, continues to impact Australia. The article concludes by noting that while progress has been made, racism remains entrenched in institutions, and the historical narrative often centers white experiences, perpetuating colonial myths. We'll be right back with more groundbreaking stories after this. Now, let's dive into the critical environmental challenges facing our natural world. Around the Circle this week, August 28, 2025. Lake Superior stands as a unique bastion among the Great Lakes, remaining the only one not yet fully submerged under the tide of invasive mussels, specifically zebra and quagga mussels. This relative sanctuary is attributed to a confluence of factors: low calcium levels that impede shell formation, cold water temperatures that hinder reproduction, and a degree of isolation that limits the spread via boat traffic. However, recent outbreaks, reported from Isle Royale to Canada's Nipigon Bay, are challenging these long-held assumptions about the lake's defenses and are causing concern among scientists like Dr. Ashley Isbell. These invasive species, believed to have originated from the Caspian Sea region, were likely introduced to the Great Lakes through international shipping. Their proliferation across the other Great Lakes has led to significant problems, including the clogging of water intake structures, which escalates maintenance costs for water treatment and power plants. They also encrust docks, buoys, boat hulls, and anchors, and critically, outcompete native mussel species. The connection between these mussels and outbreaks of avian botulism has also been documented by the University of California Riverside Center for Invasive Species Research. Quagga mussels, in particular, are more adaptable to colder waters and tend to outcompete zebra mussels once established. Amidst the battle against invasive mussels, researchers are also closely monitoring the native mollusk populations, particularly at Isle Royale National Park. The park's interior lakes are noted for supporting some of the most robust native mussel populations on the continent. A 2002 survey revealed numbers not seen on the mainland for a century, with Chicken Bone Lake alone hosting over 6 million mussels. Freshwater mussels are recognized as the most endangered group of animals in North America, and the Great Lakes, once teeming with them, now host very few. Isle Royale's stable and abundant native mussel communities represent an increasingly rare and valuable resource. However, Isle Royale National Park has also identified a different environmental threat. Harmful algal blooms have been detected in Chicken Bone Lake, Lake Ritchie, Lake Desor, and Todd Harbor, leading to advisories against filtering water from these impacted areas. In an effort to bolster veterinary services in Northern Ontario, Lakehead University in Thunder Bay is launching the inaugural Northern cohort of its collaborative Doctor of Veterinary Medicine program. This partnership with the University of Guelph will welcome 20 students from Northern Ontario, who will spend their first 2 years at the Ontario Veterinary College, OVC, on the University of Guelph campus. The program aims to address a critical shortage of veterinarians in the region, a situation exacerbated by the growing animal health and welfare crisis affecting companion animals, farm animals, and communities in rural, remote, and Indigenous areas of Northern Ontario. The province of Ontario is supporting this initiative with $14.7 million in funding for new infrastructure at both campuses. The program plans to admit an additional 20 Northern students each year. Lakehead University recently broke ground on its new Gakina Oceaniag Veterinary Education Facility, named A Place for All Animals in Anishinaabe, with construction expected to conclude next year. This $12.6 million project has been awarded to Tom Jones Corporation. Dr. Gillian Balfour, Provost and Vice President Academic at Lakehead University, highlighted the years of planning and dedication involved in bringing the program to fruition, expressing excitement about the campus's evolution. The students are expected to train at OVC with the ultimate goal of returning to their home communities to provide essential, accessible, and culturally responsive veterinary care. Dr. Jeff Wichtel, Dean of the Ontario Veterinary College, emphasized the students' deep ties to Northern Ontario and their commitment to improving animal health and welfare, seeing the program as a long-term solution to strengthen veterinary capacity across the province. The Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources, DNR, is actively seeking assistance for its reforestation program by offering payment for red and white pine cones. Early September is identified as the optimal time for collecting mature cones, specifically when they have turned brown, but before their scales have opened to release seeds. State nurseries will compensate collectors $125 per bushel for red pine cones and $70 per bushel for white pine cones. A bushel is roughly equivalent to 2 5-gallon buckets, and experienced collectors can gather a bushel of red pine cones in about 2-3 hours during a good cone season, while white pine cones, being larger, can be collected at the same volume in about an hour. The DNR advises potential collectors to contact state nurseries, such as the Hayward Nursery, to confirm ongoing cone collection programs before gathering cones. It's also noted that excessive debris mixed with the cones may lead to rejection or reduced payment. Resources like the Forest Trees of Wisconsin booklet and the 2025 Seed Collectors newsletter are available to aid in identifying the correct pine species. On September 14th, from 3:05 p.m. ET, 2:04 p.m. CT, Parks Canada, Science North, and Canadian Geographic will host a live YouTube broadcast, exploring the freshwater Everest, offering a real-time look at the Superior Shoal, an underwater mountain in Lake Superior. This expedition, originating from the Large Lakes Observatory's research vessel Blue Heron, marks the first attempt to explore the shoal's depths using advanced underwater drone technology from Boxfish Robotics. The live stream will be co-hosted by filmmakers and drone explorers Yvonne Drebert and Zach Melnick, alongside freshwater ecologist Dr. Michael Rennie, who aim to determine if Superior Shoal serves as a critical refuge for freshwater life, similar to seamounts in the ocean. Superior Shoal rises nearly 1,000 feet from the lakebed, with its peak reaching just over 20 feet below the surface, posing a navigational hazard that was recognized when it was charted in 1929. It is speculated to have contributed to the sinking of several vessels, including the Bannockburn and 2 French minesweepers. Stay tuned for more updates on these vital environmental and community initiatives. And now, let's check in on a project facing some unexpected delays. Sharon Circle Project waiting on materials. The Sharon Circle Project, a community-driven initiative aimed at enhancing local infrastructure and public spaces, is currently experiencing a delay due to the unavailability of essential materials. While the project's objectives and community support remain strong, the procurement of specific components has proven more challenging than anticipated. This situation highlights the common hurdles faced by many development projects, where supply chain disruptions or unforeseen shortages can impact timelines. The exact nature of the materials in question has not been specified, but their absence is directly impeding the progress of the construction or implementation phases. Despite this setback, the project organizers are actively exploring alternative sourcing options and working closely with suppliers to expedite delivery. The determination to see the project through to completion remains high, with a focus on finding innovative solutions to overcome the current material constraints. This situation underscores the importance of robust planning and contingency measures in project management, particularly in today's dynamic economic environment. The community's engagement and patience are crucial as the project team navigates these logistical challenges, with the ultimate goal of delivering a valuable asset that will benefit residents for years to come. We'll keep you updated on the progress of the Sharon Circle project as more information becomes available. Coming up next, we've got a rapid-fire recap of the biggest stories and a call to action you won't want to miss. And that's a wrap on another packed episode of PumpTalk News. We covered a runner's inspiring journey balancing life and passion, a boxer's deportation saga tied to Australia's complex history, the urgent fight to protect Lake Superior from invasive mussels, and a community project hitting a temporary roadblock. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe for more essential updates, ring the notification bell so you're always in the know, drop your thoughts in the comments below, and follow us on all our social channels. We'll see you next time.